Hi everyone, and welcome to our last but certainly not least virtual investor event for the year, where we get to showcase to you guys some of New Zealand's top companies and the people running them. Today we have a great lineup for you, consisting of Brent Patterson, who you see on screen, who is the CEO of Oceania Healthcare, as well as Sharesy. So we have Brooke and Sonia, who are two of the three EOs, and who helped found the amazing brokerage platform that it is today. As always, if you have any questions, please do put them in the chat on the right hand side, and we will do our best to answer as many of the questions as you guys have. The ones that we don't get to, we will try and get back to you as soon as possible through email. If you have anything else, please do just reply to the email that you signed up with, and it should be good to go. So first up, we have Brent Patterson, who is the CEO of Oceania Healthcare, a leading provider of premium healthcare services. Brent has a keen focus and interest in the aged care and retirement sector, and previously provided investment banking advice to Oceania during the 2017 IPO. And so without further ado, take it away, Brent.
Yeah, thanks a lot, James, and welcome callers and virtual participants. Yeah, really excited that we have an opportunity to talk to you about Oceania. We've recently just put out our half-year results, so some of you may have seen that, and a pretty pleasing result for the company. So I just wanted to spend sort of 10 or 15 minutes talking a little bit about the company for those that may not know it as well. And I guess from my perspective, touch on a few things. The most important things from my perspective are who we are, why are we here, what do we actually do, what have we been doing, and where are we heading next. So I'll just kick into some of the slides. So who we are. So Oceania is a pretty big business. It was formed back a number of years ago. It was a roll-up back in 2005 and came to public markets in 2017. At the time, we had a large shareholder that was part of that IPO, Macquarie Funds, and in 2020 they sold out all of their shareholding. So we've been on the market for a few years. You'll see us pretty much in every town and region up and down the country. We've got about 46 sites and growing to around 50 sites. And you can see from the stats on the slide, we're a people business. We've got about 4,000 residents. We've nearly got 3,000 staff. So every day we're involved in at least 7,000 conversations, up and down the country. In terms of the products that we have care beds and care suites, and we have what we call units, but these are villas and apartments that our independent living residents live in. So we've got a resident population that over the next couple of years will grow to about 6,000 people. You can see that most of our business is accented towards care, and Oceania has a leading position in care in the industry. Down the bottom there, we've got a couple of accents around our pipeline. So we buy land and we build and long ahead of resident need. So if we are successful over the next 4 to 5 years, we'll build out another 2,000 odd products for everyday Kiwis. So why are we here? I think it's a really interesting thing. For those people that might have seen our recent TV campaign, we've got a tagline, "Believe in Better." And I think the important thing from my perspective is that we have wanted to really focus on our purpose, and our purpose is really around reimagining retirement and aged care living. And what I've got is a bit of a graphic in terms of making sure that what we say from a marketing promise is what we actually do through all aspects of our business. You can see on the graphic that within our brand, our TV campaign, we've got people that are actually our residents and telling their stories about how they strive for better through their life journey. And now they're in our care, or now they're an independent living resident living with us, and they're super important to us. So we started with our residents. If you think about our built form, so the physical buildings that we have, in all of our brochureware, we talk about this intelligent design and designing and curating amazing spaces for people moving forward. Our investor presentation reflects our resident, so clearly it has to have dollars and cents. That's how the business works. But most importantly, you'll see if you open our annual report, a lot of it is focused around people. And that goes right to the people that we attract into the business. So even our internal employment agreements are a bit different from what you might see. Employment agreements are often legal. Ours talk about our purpose, it talks about our values, and it talks about the people that we're here ultimately to serve. So we do believe in building great communities. We believe in that number 8 mentality that served Kiwis well. And if you come to Oceania, or if you see Oceania in the headlines, we are there to innovate. We are there to be reimagining what retirement and aged care living experiences might look like for our older citizens in New Zealand. So what do we do? It's a pretty complicated business model, to be honest, in terms of what we do. But at the essence of what we do is we provide outstanding service. We make our money in our 2 primary verticals, being aged care and retirement, by charging incoming residents what we call an occupational right agreement. So that's a lot of terms, but in essence, it's an opportunity for them to purchase a unit or a care bed and to enjoy the exclusive access to that while they are part of our vibrant facilities. We have about nearly 3,000 care beds and care suites, and they work slightly differently from the retirement village product. So retirement village product is all about independent livers. So these are people that are about 70 years of age and upwards, and they come into our villages. They'll often buy a villa or an apartment, and when they leave, we return 70% of their proceeds. So simple mathematics, if they were to buy $1 million apartment here in Auckland, we would return $700,000 to them when they leave. We make the profit on the $300,000, obviously. In the aged care business, it works slightly differently. We provide 3 types of product: a standard bed, what we call a pack bed, which is a premium accommodation charge, and a care suite. And I'll touch on the care suite last because it's its own unique innovation. But the standard beds allow older citizens here in New Zealand to have all of the convenience of hospital level services delivered in an amazing way. They pay us a daily bed rate. So we get funded by the government for every resident that we have on a daily bed rate. If they have greater amenity, so they might have an ensuite, there might be some additional services that they get as part of their stay with us, then we charge a premium accommodation charge. But we have also innovated with a product that we call a care suite. And so this is a product that mum and dad are able to buy and have exclusive rights to during their stay with us. And the reason why that's important is because it brings convenience. So it allows mum and dad to have certainty that as their growing care needs change, our services lean into those growing care needs. It's sold through an occupational right agreement like the retirement village product. So when they leave, then they have 70% of their initial investment returned to them. Development is a key part of what we do at Oceania. It's a key part of what the sector does, to be honest, and we're very busy in our development. So we are solving part of the housing stock crisis that exists in New Zealand by building fantastic product for elderly citizens of New Zealand. Right now, we have about 545 units under construction, and we are going to continue to build sort of 300 to 350 units every year. We've got some graphics on the slides that point to the type of product that we build. You can see down in the left-hand corner, Green Gables is a site in Nelson. Now, we are a brownfield developer, so we don't start with a bare piece of land generally. We start with an existing piece of land, and we optimise the site. So Green Gables in Nelson had a care building right in the middle of the site. We demolished that building and put up what you can see, which is a combination of care suites and independent living resident units for our older citizens. On the right-hand side, we raised $100 million at the earlier part of this year for a couple of key acquisitions to add to our portfolio. So in addition to our brownfield developments, we also do M&A activity. And in the bottom right-hand side, we've started to increasingly move into greenfield site development. So this is where we'll buy a broadacre site. We'll go through a resource consent. It'll take us a couple of years to build, and then we'll fill it up with a very vibrant resident population. So what have we been doing? A lot of what we've been doing in more recent times, as people on this call will be familiar with, is actually just adding our voice to our residents' voice around COVID. When COVID first emerged in New Zealand, there was some concern that the older citizens were more vulnerable. We haven't actually found that to be true. We have found that older citizens are very dynamic, they're very resilient, and they moved with us very quickly to get themselves vaccinated. We had our residents vaccinated and our staff vaccinated to very, very high levels. So in Oceania today, you'll see staff are 100% vaccinated, residents are 98% vaccinated. We deal with infectious diseases all the time. COVID has its own nuances and has created a lot of media, but the reality is that our residents have been safe and very well looked after during the COVID time. One of the things that we've been focusing on is resident satisfaction and resident wellbeing. And we have been advocates in the industry and in the media around making sure that our residents are able to get a fair shake of the stick as it relates to the leadership role that they took in getting themselves vaccinated. So over the last 6 months or so, and particularly for those people that have been in Auckland, we've been in lockdown, and we've been keen to make sure that our residents have a great experience. COVID-19 brings some big costs to our business. You can see some photos of our staff, but we are in the practice, like I said, of getting great outcomes for our residents. We were innovative in terms of saliva testing. So even before the government were using saliva testing, we were using saliva testing as part of a surveillance to keep our staff and our residents safe. We established pop-up centres to increase the vaccination rates of both our staff and our residents. And this has been tremendously received. Our residents can't speak highly enough of what we've done as it relates to the clinical care that we provide. If you think about the trading results and where is Oceania positioned, it's a pretty large business. We've got a couple of $2 billion worth of net assets, and we've got a market capitalisation of about $1 billion. I touched on earlier some of the components and product types within our business, but we make money out of our care business, and we have a measure which is called EBITDA per bed as a signal to investors as to how successfully we're going. So if we talk about standard beds, we make about nearly $10,000 a bed. If we are talking about premium beds, those beds where there's a occupational right sold, we make about $16,000 a bed. So that's a person that's in a care suite. It has its own kitchen amenity, it has its own ensuite amenity, and it has hospital grade services that are capable of being delivered into that room. We make about $16,500 on those sites. Premiumisation has been a very important part of what Oceania is doing, creating great resident experience in sites up and down the country. We've got high occupancy, around 93%, and increasingly you'll see our portfolio being more at the premium end. So this is allowing mum and dad to have convenience in what they do. On the right hand side of the graphic, this talks to the sales engine of the business. So as we build things, we obviously want to sell things. That allows for the recycling of capital and cash in the business. It pays our dividends, it pays our staff, and it generates great profit for our investors. We had a really busy period over the last 6 months with our build rate, with our sales rate, despite the lockdowns that occurred in Auckland. We sold 67% of our new sales outside of Auckland. So the great thing about being a nationwide provider that while there have been lockdowns in certain regions, we've just been able to get on with things. If you think about the sort of the average price that we make on our product, we make about $800,000 on the product that we make, and we have a strong desire to ensure that as we develop new product, we're always making a development margin. So that's what the call out is in the bottom right hand side. We make about 26% on average on our development. So as we build new buildings, we want to make sure that we have positive cash flow through those first time sales. So where are we going? Well, we've got pretty ambitious plans ahead. We're about 4,000 people, as I said earlier, and we've got about 2,000 units to build up and down the country for residents of the future. This product is already consented, and we're underway on the construction components. So over the next 4 to 5 years, you'll see Oceania developing its product out to about 6,000 residents. Oceania is a care business, so 50% of our portfolio will be in care, and of that 50% of care, the greater proportion of it will be around this premiumisation product that I talked about. So this is this care suite which delivers a fantastic experience for mum and dad. And then we'll have our independent living residents. So if you were to look at the top box, that's our existing portfolio, those pie charts. We've got 2,000 product to develop. Most of that will be independent living units, or a greater proportion of it will be independent living units. And then we ultimately get to our fully developed pipeline, which is about 6,000 residents. That will keep us very active in every town that you're in, up and down the country for the next 2 to 3 years. And if I just end before I go to questions, I guess we are at the forefront of reimagining what retirement and aged care living looks like in New Zealand. We are enhancing our offering, we're bringing in intelligent design. We had a little graphic of our village in Eden, and with Franklin Road being closed, we are going to put up some Christmas lights to deliver a fantastic experience for our residents, for the community. We are never done. We are in the habit of improving people's experiences. So certainly open for questions. Thank you.
That was great. Thank you very much, Brent. And I got to say, I joined NZX in very early 2018, so it was great to see your guys' whole journey come through to where you guys are now, pretty set amongst the top of our retirement sector. So we had quite a few questions come through, so hopefully we can get through quite a lot of these. But to start from the top, where do you consider to be the greatest risk facing the business of Oceania, and what are you doing to mitigate it?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think you would have heard us talk about a workplace crisis as it relates to registered nurses. So if I think about a risk that obviously exists in New Zealand, not just in our business, access to nursing staff is pretty challenging. Now, our mitigant for that is we actually provide training services for new nursing staff across New Zealand. And as a consequence of that, that allows us to get the pick of the crop for that new nursing. But we've been actively working with the New Zealand government to open the borders. We have 300 spots available at MIQ for registered nurses. And we ensure that we pay our nurses ahead of the DHBs, or at least on parity with the DHBs. They can come here and have a great experience and grow their careers. So that's kind of one of the risks. The other risk is obviously inflation. You know, inflation is real, it's in the New Zealand economy. And so what does that mean for building products? What does that mean for supply? we have fixed price contracts for our build form. So we outsource the construction components to very credible construction companies, and that provides a natural hedge against that inflation which is present in the economy.
Okay. Second one here. What are the pros and cons of greenfield versus brownfield development?
Brownfield, you get a great piece of land in sites that you might not have been able to get before. So if we think about the Sands, which is a magnificent product, it's only a 1 hectare site in Browns Bay. That was previously owned by the charity sector, and we've been able to bring to life an amazing product there right on the beaches of Browns Bay. So that's the benefit of brownfield. You get access to some pretty amazing sites, and you can optimize those sites over time. The benefit of greenfield is it's just a lot easier. There's a lot less disruption. You can start with a blank canvas, and you can build, very, very quickly, and you can innovate around your design.
Okay. There's still more coming through here, but how does the changing New Zealand property tax regime affect the outlook for retirement villages' asset valuations and also the new regulations?
Yeah, so I'm not a tax expert, although I was a CFO before I was a CEO. Yeah, so it has no bearing on what we do. I guess the nuance of our sector is incoming residents buy an occupational right agreement, so it's kind of a slightly different contractual obligation to the normal sale and purchase that you do if you're in residential property, but it has no bearing on us.
Okay, that's always good. How is Oceania Healthcare different from other healthcare providers? I guess more like the retirement sector health providers.
Yeah, I think that's a good question as well. We've intentionally invested in our clinical practice, so we've spent a lot of time ensuring that we have leading edge clinical practice. We have a wonderful person on our executive team, Dr. Frances Hughes. She's a Kiwi, but was in Geneva and ran the nursing council, I think, globally for nurses. She's brought all of that experience and all of those relationships into our clinical practice. We have a care suite product, which is an innovation. So this is where mum and dad can purchase a room and have the certainty of their growing health needs without having to change, without having any disruption.
Okay. Here we go. You say that you refund 70% of the value of a property purchased in your facility. Is this refund 70% of the original price paid, or is it 70% of the current escalated value?
Yeah, it's 70% of the original price paid. Picking up on my earlier comment, people have the convenience of having certainty when they first come in. They pay 30% and then they get refunded the 70%.
Yep. Does the ballooning population in New Zealand mean that this business model is relatively risk-free?
Well, there's always risk in businesses, but yeah, I mean, from 2021, which is when baby boomers come on stream, so that's now, through to 2038, the elderly population, doubles. And we want to be part of delivering great outcomes for those residents of the future. So we're excited about the tailwinds for the sector. We're excited about what we're doing.
Nice. I think we can stop here on this one. Are you concerned about the potential call for the government to review retirement village contracts to balance them more in favour of the tenants versus the operators? And is it likely to have an impact on your business if it occurs? Yeah,
that's an excellent question. So no, we're not concerned about it. Our key terms are very, very transparent. The interactions that we have with our residents are very, very high. We undertook an independent survey of our resident population, and we had a 96% approval rating. So yeah, we think they're in plain English. Residents cannot move into our villages without seeking independent legal advice, and we'll continue to put things in plain English for people, but we're very, very comfortable.
Nice. We've had one more come through. Let's see if we can get through it. I mean, there's still time. If property prices fail to increase as much as they do in the future, and Oceania doesn't profit as much on the resales, how would that affect the future performance?
Well, we've never pegged our future on housing market, so we're not speculators on the housing market. We deliver great services. We make a significant amount of our profitability out of the care services that we deliver, and that's a needs-based product. So regardless of what's happening in the housing market, we're still delivering those services day in, day out. I mean, a good example is we deliver over 10,000 meals a day to our resident population. We just get on with doing that, and we'll continue to build upon that. We are not as heavily dependent on the housing market as some others because of our care business.
I think we'll stop there. I got to say thank you for what you do for our community. I think a lot of people here in the chat will know someone that might be in your services, or will know someone that knows someone at least. So it's a great thing for New Zealand. And thank you for speaking with everyone here today.
Yeah, thanks a lot, James, and the team at NZX, but also people coming on the call. It's been really helpful. Thanks.
All right. For the questions that might come through a bit later, we'll try to get those to you as soon as possible. So now we are on to Sharesies, where we have Brooke and Sonia, who are the directors and 3 EOs of the investment platform. Sharesies' purpose to financially empower the next generation by giving someone with $5 the same investment opportunities as someone with $5 million. So with that, I'll hand it over to you guys and take it away.
Kia ora. Ko Sonia Takawengoa. I'm one of the 3 EOs and co-founders of Sharesies. Brooke, do you want to introduce yourself?
I think you're on mute, Brooke, still. You're still on mute.
Oh no, you're on mute. Love it. Kia ora, ko Brooke Takawengoa. I'm also one of the co-founders, co-CEOs and directors here at Sharesies.
Cool. So we'll get the presentation up. Can everyone see that okay? I don't know how I'll get that feedback, but
You're good to go, Sonia.
Excellent. So we are from Sharesies. Today we'll be talking about what is Sharesies, some of the trends we've been seeing. We'll deep dive into a few of the investor tools that you might be interested in, and then talk a bit about what's next before taking some questions from you. So please do ask us some questions in the box. So we'll start with our purpose, why we exist. Sharesies is coming up just over 5 years old now, and our purpose is to create financial empowerment for everyone. That's really what why we do what we do, and it drives everything we do. And our vision is to give someone with $5 and $5 million the same money opportunities. We are also a team with a diverse range of backgrounds and experiences. We come from lots of different industries across financial services, design, technology, and all bring our platform to life. And everyone is really passionate to make the change that we're wanting to see, which is that investing becomes more accessible and that more people can see investing as a big way to grow their wealth. So our values guide how we work. We've got 3. They're chasing remarkable, and that's about setting the new benchmark. There is in it together, and that's about always working together as a team, and always care, which is putting care into ourselves, into each other, and also into the work that we do. And so a big part of, we do what we do, and that's to create financial empowerment, but also how we do what we do is really important to us. We're also a B Corp, which is stands for Better Corporation, and that is a global certification around businesses that are for purpose and for profit. So what we actually do, the investing experience that people use, I'm going to assume that some people on here know about Sharesies and are maybe even using Sharesies, but for people who aren't, we are in a wealth development platform that's giving people the confidence and control to invest. We've got access to over 8,000 investments, and people can invest from as little as 1 cent. It's all online. You've got access to the NZX listed companies, a range of managed funds, a range of US shares, as well as Australian shares. So that's kind of the platform part of what we do. And now Brooke's gonna jump in and talk about some trends that we've been seeing.
Cool, thanks, Sonia. Yeah, so every year ever since we started, like actually even before we started, Sonia, we've been researching a representative sample of Aotearoa people to kind of get a bit of a understanding of what investing means to them and what their thoughts and feelings are around money, and get some insights and some general trends. And I guess there's three that we just recently found out that sort of be quite worthy to share. One is there's been a massive increase in the amount of people that feel like home ownership or property ownership isn't for them. So previously, last year in 2020, we saw about 12% of people in Aotearoa thought, oh yeah, I won't own a home. But this year that grew to 27%. So over a quarter of us here think that, you know, property won't be part of our investment portfolio, or don't plan for it to be. And that's a big shift, right, in our Kiwi psyche. And we see two things that are really driving that. One is house prices are rising, and it does feel like home ownership is becoming more unattainable, and also the process to go through it is pretty hard to even get the loan, let alone you know, find the house of your dreams. So that's something. But also what we see driving this too is that when we started Sharesies, investing equaled home ownership, and we've started to see investing you know, really shift in New Zealand psyche too, where investing can also mean shares like on the NZX and others, funds, and home ownership being just a part of the options now with investing rather than equaling it. So that kind of leads to the second key insight we got, is that we've found that Kiwis are building way more confidence when it comes to investing in the share market. So that's gone from the low 30% last year to the high, or nearly 40% of New Zealanders are feeling a bit more confident about building their investing portfolio with the share market. So that's really exciting opportunity for people to know now that they can get access to investing and start building that confidence and motivation. That's something that we really care about at Sharesies. And a third key insight we got, and it was quite interestingly timed, because the day before we got all this research, we saw that Massey University found the same conclusion, and that is that more people believe they need $1 million to retire. So around 40% of New Zealanders think they need about $1 million or more to retire, and Massey University found out that actually to retire, if you live in one of the major suburbs, you need over 800,000, and if you live in more of the regional areas in New Zealand, you need around 500,000 on top of your KiwiSaver in order to retire. So there's some really interesting trends there in terms of that growing need to build that future financial freedom, and finding alternative ways to be able to build that isn't just home ownership. And so we have definitely noticed too at Sharesies that we've seen a massive increase in the amount of people that want to get into investing. So if we go to the next slide, in terms of, you know, what are we noticing here through how people are using our platform. So we have people from 0 to 98 years old on Sharesies. We've got quite good gender diversity in terms of people that use use Sharesies to build or develop their wealth. And we've also got people who have a few dollars in their portfolio to multi-million-dollar portfolios too. So we're really all about creating the new way of investing in a platform that is accessible to everyone and anyone, no matter how much money you have. On average, the typical portfolio is around $4,000, and typically made up of 3 exchange traded funds and 4 companies. And based in terms of investing here in New Zealand, companies and funds, also Australian and US. So starting to see a bit more of that global diversification too. So that's a bit of an insight in terms of some of the trends we've been noticing.
Yeah, cool. And you know, so for context, over that 5 years, we have grown quite a lot, and so we've got over 480,000 investors on the platform who have together invested over $1.9 billion, which is, so when we kind of talk about the range and all the different types of investing styles, it is really great to see that people are really just investing their way on Sharesies and building the portfolios that are right for them. So if we dig now into some of the investor tools that we offer, wanted just to start by sharing our auto invest feature. So this is where you can pick a range of funds and invest in them on an automated basis. So it means that you can come in, you can select from some pre-made kind of orders or create your own, and then you set how often you want to be investing and when you want it to start, and then how much, and that will happen on your behalf when the money comes into your account. So once you've got your strategy and you've got your plans, being able to automate, that is something that's been really important to our investors, because largely people are following a dollar cost averaging strategy where they are picking an amount and investing that on a regular basis. Also just wanted to share some of the educational tools or the information that tools that we've got available to support our investors. So we've got our blog, and we write on average 2 or 3 blogs a week, and that's largely looking at what's topical, what questions are coming through from our customers, and we really just try to share as much knowledge as possible and help people on their investing journey. We also share investor stories. So you know, one of the myths that we were trying to overcome is show that we can all be investors, and that's about telling people's different investing stories, as well as doing a monthly newsletter. We've also do a weekly webinar where we interview CEOs of companies. Sometimes if there's something going on, we might get a person, you know, relevant to what was going on come in and speak. And those are really great. People get to ask questions, a lot like this actually, which is fantastic. And we also do some market updates 3 times a week, which is our Lunch Money newsletter. The other thing that is available is a daily financial news podcast, which comes out every day, and it's every weekday, and it is covering kind of 10 minutes of the top 3 stories going on in the financial news. So it's a bit of a way to kind of come away with you know, understanding what the top 3 stories are, and a bit of kind of insight to be able to chat with people and also think about how that's going with your portfolio. And then we also have a Facebook group where our investors come in and talk to each other and share questions. So there are some of the things that we've got available to support people on their investing journey. And the other piece is around gaining insight into your portfolio. And just last week, we launched an integration with Sharesight, so people can connect their Sharesy portfolio, and if they've got Sharesight. I might actually share a link that shares more information about that if people have questions, so you can kind of get more of the lowdown. And as well, we've got NZX market depth, which I'll also share a link to. So that's about seeing live market data around what's going on. So those are some of the more kind of deep dive tools that we've got for investors, but I'll share some links so people can have more to kind of chew on about those 2 things.
Yeah, so what's next? What's coming up on the Sharesy Roadmap, I guess? So we've got quite a lot of things happening. One is you know, what we really care about is providing access to investing, but also making sure people feel really confident and motivated, and building out the tools and support needed there. So one thing we're working on is getting a mobile app live. So right now, when you sign up to Sharesy, it's all web-based, and you can save it to your home screen on your phone, but we're working on getting a mobile app together. Another thing we're working on too is we know a lot of people, in terms of building that confidence and creating that habit with investing, are quite keen to get stuck into some goals around it. So we'll be launching a way that people can start tracking their goals through Sharesy, which is really exciting. We'll be working more about how we can help our investors really make great investing decisions. So we're helping solve that. We also will be working more too with listed companies, so other companies that are on the New Zealand Stock Exchange, in terms of how can we support them when they're capital raising, and making sure that our investors and retail investors get access to that. How can we help them with their employees so that their staff can get access to shares? And we've already started doing that with a bunch of companies, and so there's a lot more demand there, and we really want to support people being able to get access to those investment options. And then also we piloted this year Sharesies in schools, where we had 3 schools, Tauranga Girls, Hastings Boys and Manurewa High School. They were piloting what it would be like if they ran Sharesies in their classrooms. And so that's something now we're opening up to any school, high school here in Aotearoa, and any teacher can sign up their class and we'll help support them in terms of building that financial literacy and that know-how through actually doing it, and building their portfolio through Sharesies. So we're really excited to see that. There's heaps of other things on our agenda too, and they'll all, start being revealed next year. But we deeply listen to what our investors say. If you're an investor through Sharesies and you've got feedback, we love it. So please do send it to us at help@sharesies.com. And you can also let us know through social media too. And we also look at ways that we can create the new, so we can really give someone with 5 and 5 million the same money opportunities. So with that, I'm quite keen to dig into some questions.
Thank you guys very much. I can already see 8 questions come through, so it was a great presentation, and I'm sure a lot of people here already in the chat use your platform, so I'm sure they were very interested in what you guys had to say. So the first one that came through actually is something that I'm quite interested in, is what is your strategy on adopting AI technology?
Did you say AI technology?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what we're kind of looking at now is really what are our investor problems, and then what is the best technology to support those problems at the moment. So it's constantly what problems do people have that we think that would be the answer to solve. Brooke, did you have anything to add on that? No. Yeah, cool. So if you do have something that you think that would be helpful, we prioritize based on what people are asking for, and yeah, so do please keep those requests coming.
User feedback is always good. When did you first start growing at such a rapid pace, and how did you keep up with it?
So we've been growing rapidly ever since we started, really. Before we started Sharesies, there were 6,000 people on a wait list eager to get access to it, and we hadn't even really finalized the designs, let alone done much of the building. So that was really, really exciting to know that people wanted access to investing, and we were really the first that brought that to New Zealand in a way that really connected with people, and had them at the center of it, designing it alongside them. So yeah, we've seen rapid growth since we started. In terms of how we keep up with it is in our company, we run these things because like every quarter we're like, what are our key objectives? What are ways that we can really help bring these things to life that we see in terms of the future we see. And one of them has always been, how are we sustainably scaling? So we want to make sure we're automating as many processes as possible. So it's really simple because we turn this real complex world into simple, right? And it's like, how do we make that super simple from an investor's perspective, so it's really seamless? And then how can we make sure that we're scaling our processes and things like that internally, so that our team can do their best work and not kind of get bogged down by things like that. So yeah, we've grown to, like Sonia said, 480,000 investors, and we've got over 180 people that now work at Sharesy. So we're constantly scaling, and we've just appointed to a head of scale, which is really great. And that's something we continually and will forever be focused on.
In 5 years, that is a great accomplishment right there. What training and systems are available for individual share traders? I think you touched a little bit on this, but if you could go a bit deeper.
Yeah, so really it's about giving people the confidence and control to invest, and we're constantly developing tools that support investors around that. And because people are starting at different points with different knowledge, so really the first focus was how to help people get started, and a lot of effort actually went into how we design the platform to make it really accessible, to give people information in the right time and the right moment, and to give them support while they're actually using it, and while they're using Sharesies. And then the information sources that I touched on before around the recap podcast, talking about the news, and as well blogs to help you work out what investments are right for you and what should go into your portfolio.
Nice. How safe is it to use Sharesies compared with traditional brokers?
Kia ora. So we are regulated by the Financial Markets Authority and also the New Zealand Stock Exchange, because we're an NZX participant, which means that we've got a direct link in with the New Zealand Stock Exchange to provide access to those liquidities. So the same as other brokers here in Aotearoa that are regulated by those.
And I want to just give a shout out for second factor authentication. We've got 2FA on the platform, which you can enable if you wanted to put some more security on the actual platform. So do set that up.
Always a great feature on any kind of device. How does Sharesies handle share purchase opportunities in a company?
So we've got that's something that we've got a team that help make sure we can provide access to. So those share purchase plans or share opportunities like that, they come quite quickly, and we've got a team that makes sure that we can get that out to our investors as soon as we know about it, and we know that we've got access to it, and make sure that they've got the information they need. So we send out emails when somebody has shares in that company already, and also if you want to get more access to those things, do let us know. But yeah, it's something that we work really closely with those companies to make sure we can help provide access to in the NZX.
Nice. The questions are coming through thick and fast, so we won't be able to get to everyone, sorry, but I'll touch on some of the more ones that we see are getting a bit more attention. So will Sharesies be adding more overseas markets, for example, Asia, Europe in the future? And also, what about crypto?
Yeah, I can cover the investments one, so that we're always, our mission is someone with $5 and $5 million having the same access to money opportunities. And so really when we think about investments, it's like we'd love to see however people are wanting to build their portfolios reflected. So do keep that feedback coming. We typically look at and kind of trade that off between what we think is a really good one to put on next, as well as like what's coming through from demand from our investors. So we did start with the NZX. We actually started Sharesies with 6 exchange traded funds only on the platform, and then added the NZX and became an NZX participant, then added Australia and US. So yeah, Brooke, did you have anything to add on crypto?
Yeah, and in terms of cryptocurrencies, we actually provide 2 exchange traded funds on our platform that follow crypto. So one is based on the ASX, the Australian Stock Exchange, and one on one of the US exchanges. So there's already access to those through the Sharesies platform. And in terms of individual coins or anything beyond that, it's something that we've thought about quite a lot internally in terms of how speculative those options are. And so soon you'll see a blog on Sharesies with a bit more information about a cryptocurrency 101, and you can get to know a bit more about what investing or what those kind of speculations are like. And yeah, it's something that we're always assessing. We know that there's a growing interest in cryptocurrency from people here in Aotearoa.
Nice. Can you please talk about who your competitors are and how you maintain your advantage?
Yeah, so really, we're a wealth development platform. When we think of growing the number of investors, our competition really is, where else are people spending their money that's not in investing, and how do we help channel some more of that money going into building people's wealth? So when you think of competition like that, there's definitely competition. And then when you think of pure competition, we do see, more platforms popping up in New Zealand, and also in Australia, there's platforms in this space, but we really feel like we sit somewhere unique, which is around, we're not a trading platform, and we're also not completely like robo or you know, doing it for people. So we sit somewhere in the middle, which is around how do you create empowered investors that are building the portfolios that are right for them and have the support they need to build their wealth over their life. So I think from a competition perspective, we've just as well been named, we invest a lot in our customer experience, and that's through the technology, but also the people. You know, we are humans behind software, and then there is also the human element to our customer support or our investor support. And we were recently named, we got a customer experience brand award as one of the most loved brands in New Zealand. So I think after 5 years being in business, and you know, we put our customers at the heart of everything we do. So I think really that is a you know, if you look after your customers, I think that's a really great competitive advantage as well.
Yeah, and seeing as though a lot of this is new to a lot of people, if they're happy, you can imagine how much they're doing, how well they're doing as well. Let's stop on this one here, because I mean, we'll be wrapping up rather soon. When do you think you will be able to auto buy individual company shares that we are interested in?
I know that's being that's something that is coming up, so hopefully not too far away.
We don't want to give away any secrets, do we?
I wouldn't. It's because, you know, if you can't commit to things as a technology company, you know, like I think. So I think, you know, it is really important. It's a big part of our strategy, is supporting people to build their wealth, and so that is something that's being worked on at the moment.
Nice. I think that's a good place to end it. There's a couple more that will fire through to you after this. But I think from everyone here at the exchange and everyone that's listening on, thank you for democratizing investing. I think this is probably one of the best things that has happened for the New Zealand finance sector in a long time. That's just my personal opinion there. But with that, if you've got any closing remarks, I'll close it out.
Kia ora, James. Ngā mihi nui.
Ngā mihi nui. And so with that, thank you for joining us on this journey as we shifted from our live retail investor evenings to our virtual investor events this year. We hope that you found some value out of them, if at any. Have a great break through the new year. Have a great break through the summer holidays. And to all of you Aucklanders, I hope the tables are booked for the weekend and the sun is hopefully shining tomorrow. So happy holidays, everyone, and have a great weekend. Cheers.